Thank you for joining us for First John. There's a lot in First John that it's like I know that there's something in there that I'm not getting out of it. And I'm really grateful to the Lord for what I do get out of it. But I know I'm not done. And I am thoroughly enjoying what he does open my eyes to see. And I've noticed from the book of John, as well as from First John, that John uses the word abide a whole bunch. Abide, like some translations will say remain, and really that doesn't get it done. Abide, when John uses the word, has something to do with dependence. Like in John 15:5, he said, "He who abides in me and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit, for without me you can do nothing." There's that dependence that abide is talking about. It's like you live in close fellowship with God and you live in absolute dependence upon him. Like the Apostle Paul said, on your own, let's call that flesh. Your flesh, you're not going to be any different than what you were like before you were saved, because you're living under your own power. And then he says, but then there's the fruit of the Spirit, where you abide and you depend upon the Lord, and you have the love and the joy and the peace and the patience and all those good things, the character of Jesus Christ, that comes from you as a branch depending upon the vine. You take the branch and you put it in the mud and you water it and you get it plenty of sunshine. If it's just a branch by itself, it's never going to bear fruit. It's just going to wither. But if it's still tied into the vine, which is actually the part of the grapevine that has the life in it, then it's going to bear the fruit. So here you go with his use of abide in 1 John 2:28. And I know he's talking to Christians because he calls Christians little children. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 18, unless you become like a little child, you won't enter the kingdom of heaven. Because a little child is dependent. A little child in faith and trust depends upon the parent to meet his needs. And so you have to humble yourself and admit you can't earn your way into heaven. You deserve hell. You can't earn 5 minutes in heaven, and it has to be given to you. And so you humble yourself and you depend upon the Lord. And so that's when the abiding starts. That on a regular basis you depend upon him to do something in you that you cannot do on your own. Here we go. Now, little children, Christians, abide in him, so that when he appears, it's time for him to judge, we may have confidence and not shrink away from him in shame at his coming. Shrink away from him in shame? The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 3 that there's a judgment for Christians about what we have done with the everlasting life that he has given to us. And that everlasting life, heaven, is a gift. And if you've taken God's free gift of everlasting life, he will not snatch it back. It's eternal security. But you're going to be judged for what you do with it. It's like the foundation is faith in Jesus Christ, and every Christian has that. But then you build on it wood or hay or stubble or gold or silver or precious jewels. And Paul says God's judgment of a believer in Jesus is like fire that tests the works that you built on the foundation. And the wood and the hay and the stubble don't make it. But the gold and the silver and the precious jewels go right through the fire, and they're still abiding, still remaining. Here it is, 1 Corinthians 3:12 through 15. If any man builds on the foundation gold, silver, precious stones, or wood, hay, and straw, each man's work will become evident, for the day, judgment of Jesus, will show it, because it's to be revealed with fire. The fire itself will test the quality of each man's work. If any man's work which he has built on it remains, he will receive a reward. If any man's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, shrink away in shame. But he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. So there are going to be believers that are going to go to heaven because it's a free gift, But as far as everlasting, eternal rewards, and I don't know what way, shape, or form they take, no. And as far as hearing a well done, good and faithful servant from Jesus, shame instead. I don't want that. And so if I don't want that, then I want the opposite, that I want to bear fruit. And the only way that I can do that is to abide in him. On my own, I cannot please God. But if I depend upon Jesus Christ in fellowship, depend upon him to change my way of thinking, depend upon him to rule my emotions, then I'm going to bear fruit. Because he's the vine and I'm a branch and I have to depend on the vine. Well, that's all I got for you. See you later.